But one of the things that I'm really curious about is what's your experience of the business community, the entrepreneurial scene reality here in Grenada? Because on the one hand, I'm very keen to encourage people to move back and contribute in that way. But on the other hand, I'm also familiar with people who've left because it's challenging. It can be challenging. And I'm imagining that you came back because there are gaps that you can see that need to be filled. So you don't have to give me a political answer. Honestly, how do you perceive it and how do you see navigating through that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very tough environment. Very tough environment that I think Grenada is like probably 169 ranking in the world. So the places to do business is a very difficult place to do business. I think there are niches, and also there are people who are making a lot of money here from doing business.
Yeah.
But it's a very difficult environment to actually do business, right? I think in terms of like local businesses, I think what I can see, and I hope happens more, I think the government needs to make it easier for people to do business, and more importantly, needs to incentivize local businesses that I want to call non-priority sectors in a bigger way. Because, for example, oftentimes what happens is that small island states, we look for FDI, foreign direct income, right? Or foreign direct investment, right? But actually, if we get the local economy going and we get local businesses going, then of course, there'll be like more employment, there'll be more money flowing within the economy. So I think that's something that has to come from government level. Now at the local level, I think people need to collaborate more. I think what happens a lot is that, let's say farming, this is a simple example. Everybody wants to have their own small farm, wants to all plant tomatoes. You know what I mean? If 10 farmers come together and they goes, all right, now we are 10 farmers, we're gonna plant 10 different things, or we're gonna make sure that we have supplies for every month in the year. If they form a cooperative, for example, it will be easier, it'll be better, it'll be bigger, right? But sometimes we are a bit small-minded. Maybe by being in a small island, we are small-minded, If you go to like the UK and you see how the Indians work, they pool their resources, they work together, they achieve more, they support each other. I think in these parts of the world, people really support you, right? Even the banks, for example, sometimes, like if you go to GDB and you want to get 40,000, they might ask you to have 50,000 in the bank. Crazy. So I think a lot has to be done to improve what I call the doing business environment.
And so let's go back to the business environment. Could you give us some ideas of some niches that are oversaturated?
Some what? Some businesses
oversaturated niches.
I mean, it just comes to my mind, but I'm just going to say it. I mean, there's so many, because I was thinking about that recently. There's so many lawyers. I mean, I just think for a small island, there are lots of lawyers, right? I mean, even if you are a lawyer, I think you should try to come back and do something, not necessarily open a law firm, for example. You might do something else, like a parallel, But to me, there's just lots of law firms everywhere, for a small island state. To me, that's a bit oversaturated. So don't open a legal firm. Other areas, I can't think of a lot of areas. What I can tell you though, that construction is booming. And what I can actually tell you is that I can tell you where the niches are or where there's a lack of businesses, but the oversaturated ones, probably not. Because what happens is that a lot of people try to do business or they have businesses, but it's just not done well. Does it make sense?
Right.
The customer service is not great, So for example, there may be a lot of small restaurants, for example, but people think, oh, the food is not great, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say don't open a restaurant. Open a restaurant if your quality of food will be better than everyone else, that kind of stuff, right? So I think there's opportunities. It's hard for me to think of oversaturated businesses because to me, most people who have businesses and provide a good quality service will do well.
Right, okay. And so you spoke about it a little bit at the beginning, but for people who are serious about whether they're Grenadians and want to start a business, whether it's folks in the diaspora who want to return back or do something remotely, or folks from anywhere else in the world, what is the GIDC? What is its purpose, and how do people interface with it?
Yeah, so the GIDC is the Green Investment Development Corporation. For the people who don't know, I think it was started in the days of the revolution by the then government, Maurice Bishop. So actually owns a couple of industrial parks. So number one, actually rent spaces for office or for factory, etc. That one actually does. Also has a business development unit of business called BDC, Business Development Center, where it actually trains people who want to learn entrepreneurship. It also gives small grants to persons who want to start business. There are different programs that are funded by different bodies to give grants to small business owners. Then my unit, which is another strategic business unit, is called Investment Promotion Agency, which promotes Grenada as a place to invest. But overall, GIDC is like the IPA of Grenada. Basically, GIDC promotes Grenada as a place to invest. We also support local businesses a lot. For example, the government have right now a stimulus program right now until the end of December. Any small businesses that when I say small, actually any micro, small, or medium enterprise, call them MSME, you can get concessions of any sector. 50% concessions for equipment or building materials. You can even get a vehicle. So we have a number of programs. The government have also identified a few what they call priority sectors. And that's the old government. I know that actually that the new government have probably slightly different priority sectors, but the old priority sectors are obviously tourism and tourism-related services, health and wellness, education, as well as actually lumped in there. And they also have manufacturing and agribusiness. When we say agribusiness, we mean like not to say plant, not actually farming, but actually added value products from agriculture products. And then we also have ICT is a big area to do with technology and digitalization, videography, call centers, BPO, all that kind of stuff. And then we have energy development. So any businesses in those sectors will get incentives. And it could be tax breaks, it could be customs duty exemptions and all that kind of stuff. And we actually administer that. So we actually give you the letter to take the customs so that you can get these concessions off. For example, if you are building, if right now in your house, you want to build some apartments and it's actually for tourism accommodation, we will give you a 100% exemption on the building materials and furnishing for the apartment. That's because the government has actually cited tourism accommodation as something that's needed more in the island, you know what I mean? Same for agribusiness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you get in touch with GIDC? Well, there's obviously a website, GIDC.gd. The phone number, I think, is 444-1035. Or you can email myself, rcumberbatch@gidc.gd. Or there's even actually a pure investment email as well. I think it's pureinvestment@gidc.gd. So there's a whole different ways to get in touch with GIDC. Maybe start with a website, although I think myself it can be improved. But I'll make a phone call, 444-1035.
Perfect, and I'll put all those details in the description below. And I guess the last question, given the number of folks we have watching who probably have dual citizenship, whether it's in the UK, US, or Canada, I know nothing about tax, so given that you're an accountant, you're probably the best person to ask. What are the benefits to registering or incorporating a company in Grenada versus the US, the UK, Canada, specifically for people who are location independent, so that they can incorporate anyway? Are there any specific facts?
I mean, there are a couple of things, right? So for example, let's say you're a foreigner and you wanted to, for example, this is actually a case study right now. We have a small call center who want to come and set up, right? Now, the fact that you who don't want to do business here,
Mhm.
I mean, you will need to set up a local business, right? Because we have local laws, you know what I mean? So it'll be difficult to have a company that's based in the US and have persons here working for a US company. Does it make sense? Then actually US laws apply, you know? So there will be a requirement that if you're doing business here, you either have a branch or a subsidiary, or you have a standalone company, you know what I mean? The particular company that I'm actually talking about, they actually have a company in the UK. I'm looking to do a call center here, and they're setting up a subsidiary that will be 100% owned by the one in the UK. The benefit is that obviously they can get the tax exemptions or the tax allowances in this country on the UK company. It'll be very difficult for the government of Grenada to give you tax exemptions or tax allowance on a UK company. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So if you open a UK company, then you can get tax exemptions or tax allowances on that particular company. Also, just from a whole operational perspective, might be easier to pay people, because actually now you actually have a service company here in Grenada, you know, rather than paying persons from a US account. And because obviously, if your company is in the US, then you're obviously going to have a US bank account, and then you're paying persons in Grenada. I think it gets might actually be more expensive in the long run with all the transaction fees and so on. And again, maybe just be the laws, right? The law might actually dictate that you have a company or a business name here in Grenada, you know? So yeah, so remember again, if you're a foreigner and you want to set up a company in Grenada and you're not a Grenada national, you have to actually get what is called an alien license. So you must go through a solicitor or a lawyer to actually get an alien license. I mean, GIDC don't help you with that. But if you're a Grenadian and you want to set up a limited company or a business name, then GIDC can actually help you with that. So yes, there's lots to think about there. Of course, if you want to know how to structure your company and all that kind of stuff, whether it's a group company, subsidiary branch, etc., then your accountant can actually help you with that. Because there's normally lots of different, well, when you open a business and you already have a company, say in a foreign country, then obviously your tax strategy will determine whether you set up a branch, a subsidiary, you know, that kind of stuff. So again, speak to your accountant.
Super. I was going to ask you about business banking in Grenada, but that could be a whole another half hour, so we will skip that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Banking can be a challenge, but hopefully we'll get better. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think especially for folks who have digital as a large part of their business, that is also another factor to take some deep consideration into.
Yeah.
But I think, as you say, you know, it's not going to change unless we all contribute to making that necessary shift happen. And it's fantastic that folks like you are coming back to make changes in sectors that really need it. And I think, yeah, now is the time. So I would encourage anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. But I think for me, you know, my mom is here. She's getting older. I think also, like, you know, you work hard, you know, you can go on the beach, you can plant your own food. I think right now food security is a big thing in the world, you know what I mean? Prices are going up. But there is a number of reasons for being in this part of the world. It's actually, I think, a safer place to be, especially like Grenada. It's one of the places with the lowest crime in the world. So it's a safe place to be, nice place to be, nice air, nice people, friendly people. 365 days of sunshine. Even when it rains, it's still sunshine. You know what I mean? So it's actually paradise here on earth. So people have a choice, right? You know, spend all their life in another country where most of the time, half of the year is winter and you're miserable, or be happy every day of your life. I guess choice is yours. Yeah,
I think we've given a really honest picture of what it's like to do business in Grenada. I think folks who are on the fence, so just come and visit, come for 2 weeks, check it out, see for yourself. Don't trust us, come see, because I think it's a special place. As you said, it's not easy, but nowhere's easy. And I think you can really see the difference of your efforts on an island this small.